All right, so now these are going to be some magazine covers that are going to further convey many of the sentiments that I broached in my video, that pertaining to Oprah Winfrey and the fact that she is an asset of the MK Ultra program. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Too many connections. Carl Rogers, William Thetford, her being within the vicinity of the Milwaukee area, the fact that she was sexually abused by numerous associates in her life, whether they be family members or what have you, the nebulous aspect of her rise to stardom, despite the fact that she has no discernible talent whatsoever. No disrespect to her, but she just don't have any damn talent. The broad really can't sing or act. But anyway, let's look at this photo here. And I've told you guys before, I've told you brothers before, many times on the cover of Time magazine, they will depict a notable person who is being used as an asset or a pawn. And they will strategically place their head right underneath the M's, the prongs of the letter M, to make it appear as if they have two devil horns. This was in promotion of Oprah's film, Beloved. I believe it was based on a Toni Morrison novel. I'm trying to remember how long ago this film came out. This was years ago, though. And it did not do very well in the theater. I think Danny Glover was in this film as well. And the interesting thing is that I did a video on Henrietta Lacks. And Henrietta Lacks, for those of you who don't know, is the black female who died from cancer. I believe she was administered cancer, given cancer, at the Johns Hopkins Hospital, most likely on one of her checkups. And the sister came down with terminal cancer, but she was found to have a supercellular structure, what they call today HeLa cells. And HeLa cells have basically been used to cure many of the diseases that people have around the world, to the point where her cells are worth literally billions and billions of dollars. And of course, her family has no rights to the monetary aspect of her cells, even though they were taken without the permission of her or her family. Point being is this: when I did the video on Henrietta Lacks, the video was done because Oprah Winfrey was producing a film on Henrietta. And in that video that I did, I showed how Danny Glover also did the downward arrow between his legs with both his hands, showing you that he is a venerator of the mother goddess. And it's not difficult to see, and also a Marxist, aka Luciferian. And that's not difficult to figure out because he's a pansexual. That's why he's always kissing Harry Belafonte on the lips and kissing Jamie Foxx and a lot of those other pansexual black males in Hollywood. And you'll see that Oprah Winfrey is always closely associated with Danny Glover. The only time that Oprah Winfrey will let her guard down around so-called black males is if they're also pansexuals. That's why, as I stated in the video, she allowed herself to become ingratiated by Jay-Z. At first, she was standoffish, and then she probably got the memo. She was told, Oprah, calm down. He's one of ours. A very interesting thing is that when Oprah did her show covering the film Crash, if you guys remember, Crash came out, I believe, like 2005, and it had the rapper Ludacris in it. She did not even want to allow Ludacris on her show. But eventually, somehow he got on the show, and she ended up having a long conversation with him, and also later on Common, over some alleged quote-unquote misogynistic lyrics that she found offensive. Common is also in the craft. He's in the know as well. All of that banter and that rhetoric about black consciousness, all that is a cover. Common is a pansexual. That's why he's always linked with either Serena Williams or another one of these industry broads like Taraji Henson, or this new chick, Angela Rye, the little light-skinned broad who supposedly plays this firecracker role on political television, even though she's most likely an asset her damn self. You know, and I know that a lot of people say, oh, well, is everybody an asset? When you get to that, when you get into Hollywood, it's not to say that those people don't have talent. But in order for them to expose you, they have to know that you're not going to break programming. They can't afford you to get on TV and expose what that system is really about. They can't allow that. So you have to submit to the programming. If you show any rebelliousness in any way, then they just remove you. They'll claim that you overdosed on drugs, or you got into a car crash or a plane crash. Well, that's how that works. Once you sign your name on that dotted line, you become the property of Hollywood. You've entered the craft, and you can only get in. You can't get out. You become a hostage of that world. And it might sound sinister or whatever. It's just the truth. Read up on some of the statements that were made by people like Mary J. Blige and what's this chick name? Gladys Knight, when Aaliyah died. They stated rather explicitly that it was unfortunate that it had to happen. Things along those lines. They both know what happened with Aaliyah. Aaliyah got taken out. Many of these people get taken out. They get injected with AIDS or what have you. Either because they did not want to do something, or they showed signs of rebelliousness, or their programming was just not strong enough. That's just what they do. And there's no real getting around it. The reason why a lot of our people get emotional when those sentiments are touched on is because most black people, when I say most, I mean most conventional or liberal black people, they worship the images that they see on television. So when they see a Denzel Washington or Oprah Winfrey, it gives them hope that, wow, white people like them. Maybe they'll like me too. It all revolves around that yearning to get that damn hug. And people might not like that. I don't give a damn. It's just the truth. But anyway. Now, this is another cover that I found that was very revelatory. This is Oprah posing on the cover of her magazine with a lion. This is an allusion to a couple of things. Her worship of Heru, or the conventional name Horus. And I'm going to delve a little deeper into that in a moment. And also her Wizard of Oz programming. Remember that a major component of MK Ultra is programming the subject based on an association with certain films. Some of the films that they like to use to help them with their programming is Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, things like that. Right? They also have a lot of Disney movies that they'll use Peter Pan. Like Michael Jackson, he was under Peter Pan programming. Okay? Many of these top singers are under Oz programming. That's why sometimes you'll see them wear especially to big award ceremonies, they may wear the red sparkling shoes. You'll oftentimes see many of these females in Hollywood, they'll walk around with the little dogs. That's Oz programming. When they're building up the child while putting them under mind control programming, they have to torture the child. So the child will grow distrustful of adults. They will allow them to bond with a small animal. That is what Toto represented in the film Wizard of Oz. He also represented Dorothy's innermost thoughts. So many of these, what they call program multiples, they develop such an affinity for the little dog that if you were to take the dog from them, they would have a mental breakdown. And you see that with a lot of female athletes and celebrities in Hollywood, like Serena Williams, Paris Hilton, right? People like that. But you see Oprah Winfrey here next to the lion. The lion also represents, of course, courage. In the Wizard of Oz, you had the cowardly lion. That's why it says at the top, it says what? Brave new you. And another term for Heru was the Lion King. I touched on this before in the film The Lion King. That truly was the story of Heru gaining vengeance for the death of his father, Simba, who was really Osiris, being killed by Scar, who was really Set. You understand? So, pardon me, Simba is Heru, Mufasa is Osiris. I may do a review of that film if I can catch it on cable or something like that. But I haven't seen that film in a long time. But yes, Simba is Heru. Mufasa, played by James Earl Jones, is Osiris. Now pay attention. James Earl Jones played Mufasa, who was Osiris. And who else did he play who was Osiris, if you remember? Darth Vader. Because Luke is Heru. So, brothers, they tell the same stories over and over and over and over again, just in metaphorical fashion. As I stated, Kemet and Babylon, they had a stellar religion. When I say a stellar religion, meaning they played out many aspects of history in the stars. So they would look at the constellations, and to honor prominent people from history, they would cast them in the constellations, whether it be the bull, Taurus, or the hunter, Orion, or of course the constellation of Leo, who is, of course, Leo is Heru. So that is why, once again, you'll notice a lot of events occur around the time period of July 20th. I did a video when O.J. Simpson was released from prison, and I touched on that very lightly. July 20th is known as the Heliacal Rising. It is the return of the Sirius star after a 70-day disappearance. The Sirius star, the dog star, is likened unto the mother goddess. She grabs hold of the lion's hand. The lion is who? The sun. That also is what this photo is representing. Remember, Oprah is the mother goddess. She is holding the hand of Heru as they rise up together. Remember in the film Star Wars: A New Hope, when Luke was on Tatooine and started out, he was looking at the sky, and what did you see? They have the twin suns, right? The twin suns represents Sirius and the actual sun. So they do these things over and over and over again in the films. And once again, Luke was Apollo / Heru. His sister Leia was Artemis, the huntress. And then, of course, you also notice Oprah has on the green. The green represents her being in Wonderland, but it also is an allusion to her being the consort of the Green Man, Heru, or Tammuz. All right, man, peace. So now this is just to provide some context to many of the statements that I made in the video that I did on Oprah Winfrey, who, it's very clear to me, is an asset of the MK Ultra program, how she's been guided up from the very beginning, and many of her contacts who have further guided her in a way that they want to use to manipulate the remainder of society. Oprah does play the role of the mother goddess, and you'll see here in this picture one of the people that I mentioned alongside with Oprah, who was a very close compatriot of hers, Miss Alice Walker. You'll also see in the middle of the two of them is Miss Wanda Sykes. They're all doing the same hand pose. That downward arrow with their hands pressed together, that is in veneration of the female vulva or the vagina. That's in salutation to the earth goddess Demeter, right? AKA Cybele, Cybele. Now, Cybele was a name for the mother goddess in so-called Asia Minor, the country that we know today as Turkey. She had a son in the mystery school system that was inherent to the Asia Minor region. Her son was named Attis. A as in apple, T as in Thomas, I-S. I believe that's how his name is spelled. He was the Asia Minor version of Bacchus or Tammuz or Heru. In that version of the mystery school system, he was castrated, and his priests would have to castrate themselves in order to serve. This is why in this modern day society, they are starting to venerate and exalt the so-called transgender. Back then, they were known as eunuchs in other portions of civilization in antiquity. But in that particular culture, they were known as Gali, if I remember correctly, spelled G as in George, A-L-L-I. You brothers could look that up. You'll also see here that Oprah has on the all red. She likes to wear red because the mother goddess in Babylon was venerated for wearing scarlet. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that in a moment, because Oprah is going to make it very, very clear. And I'm sure that I have a lot of people watching this video who will say, how do you know? How you know all this? How you saying all this? How you know? Brothers, this is why I always encourage you guys to do your own research. In addition to the things that I tell you, look up the things that I tell you, and also do your own further research. And for you brothers in knowledge, you should be familiar with a lot of these concepts that I'm touching on already. Hopefully, if you're getting instructed properly. But it is not a coincidence that Oprah here has on the all red. The scriptures tell you that red is oftentimes used symbolically as the color of sin, as the color of wantonness. It doesn't mean that it's a sin to wear red. It just means that in the Babylonian mystery school system, oftentimes red is used to instill passion or to convey lust. The favorite color of Aphrodite was red. That was the mother goddess in her altar as the goddess of lust. The name Aphrodite means the wrath subduer. Why is that? Because she was the one who could calm the anger of Nimrod, being his mother and his wife. But Oprah Winfrey does play the role of the harlot of Babylon, the great whore, and she encourages all women to do so. That is what the feminist/lesbian movement is about, promoting whoredom amongst women. Wanda Sykes is a member. She is in the know of the black lesbian rulership caste that they're trying to install here in this society. I tell you brothers this all the time. The so-called Black Lives Matter movement is really meant for you to view the black lesbian as the new ambassador, the mediator, the ruler of the so-called black community. That's all it's about. And you see Alice Walker here. She's on record as stating that she hates black men. All you have to do is watch that film, The Color Purple, and you can see how much she hates the so-called black man. All right. Now, brothers, this is the photo that I was talking about of Oprah. All these photos I'm getting off of the covers of her magazine. Oh, okay. This was on the cover of her magazine. Oh, look at what it says in the blurb. It says, every woman needs a little mystery and a lot of color. Please pay attention to the color scheme that she is wearing here. She has on the red robe, the red hooded robe for witchcraft, by the way. And she has on the purple, the purple jewels in her rings. Also, the purple eyeshadow. Why is that? Pay very close attention. Remember, once again, it's very obvious that she enjoys playing the role of the whore of Babylon, the great whore. She is the mother goddess of the entertainment industry and of the society. And this is what she's showing you. But let's prove it. All right, so now those of you brothers who are familiar with the scriptures, you should be aware of this already. This is in the book of Revelation, chapter 17, starting at about the 3rd verse. It says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Verse 4, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Now, didn't we just read in that last cover where the bottom blurb stated that every woman should have a little mystery? See, brothers, they put it right in front of your face. That's why I say, look, my channel's not for everybody. Every once in a while, I get a guy who comes to my comments. How do you know this? How do you look, brother? Either you get it or you don't. I can't make everything, you know. It's like if you're an eagle cannot explain to an ant what its perspective is. No, it's just two different perspectives. An eagle cannot explain to an ant what it sees. If you're an ant, your job is just to pick up your crumbs and head on back to your tunnel. That's it. I can't break it down to you no better than that. But it's very, very obvious what these people are doing. I'm going to read it again. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Now, for those of you who don't know, the imagery is in reference to the Babylonian/Kemetic mystery school system started under Cush and Nimrod, really started under Kem, known as Ham, but was elevated under Cush and then Nimrod and dispensed to all the nations. And it was carried over from kingdom to kingdom. When you read Daniel, the 7th chapter, it breaks down the four beasts culminating in the Roman Empire. And the woman, the mother of harlots sitting atop that beast, is talking about the mother goddess and those teachings that she carried on under the inspiration of Cush and Nimrod that we still have today in its many forms, whether you want to call it the Catholic Church, Buddhism, feminism, the veneration of homosexuality, lesbianism, pansexuality, everything that's contrary to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Okay? And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, just like Oprah was, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. That is Oprah. That is the role that she's playing. Symbolically, that is what she was programmed to play. The mother of harlots, meaning she is the queen. She is the leader of all these little hoes out here. Symbolically. Now we back to Oprah. I just wanted to bring it back to Oprah just to bring it home. Remember, we just read the scripture, Revelation 17th chapter. It says, Mystery, the mother of harlots, right? What does it say here? Every woman needs a little mystery and a lot of color. That is a subconscious allusion to Revelation the 17th chapter and what it says about the mother of harlots. And this is her encouraging all women to be associated with that spirit of harlotry. You understand? So now hopefully you brothers see what I'm talking about in regards to Oprah, in regards to many of the things that they are pushing on television and what the so-called hashtag Me Too movement, hashtag Time's Up movement is actually about. It's them trying to push the what they call the great work, trying to add that capstone on the pyramid that was started by Kim, Cush, Nimrod, Semiramis, but really the triumvirate is Cush, Nimrod, and Semiramis. Those are the people who are spoken about in the various quote-unquote pagan mythologies. I get a lot of people who jump on my channel and try to act as if they know what they're talking about. Certain people got upset at the video that I did on Wicca, if it's the new religion of the new official religion of America. You know, you always get these guys, especially a lot of these pro-black people, they jump in the comments talking about Heru and a set and all this bullshit. Don't even know what the hell they talking about. Right? Don't even know what they're worshiping. But you know how I know that they know that they're full of shit? Because their asses won't move back to Africa and live out in the woods and, you know, in the Nile River Valley with the rest of the Nile peoples. How come they won't do that shit? Okay, so now this is going to be the last magazine cover that we review in regards to this Oprah Winfrey issue. I think that it's very transparent what they're trying to communicate through this female here, Oprah Winfrey, which is that she's a pawn. And at this point, she's a willing pawn. She does not even know up from down. That's why I stated in the video, it's very obvious to me that Gayle King and Stedman Graham are her handlers, at least two of her handlers. They both have her keys, but in that world, numerous people have her keys. Pay very close attention, brothers. They will oftentimes tell you what's going on without explicitly telling you. You just have to pay attention, and you have to be very mentally acute. Look at this cover. Look at where her eyes are gravitating towards. They're gravitating towards the O in the upper left-hand corner of her magazine cover. Why is that? Because you see that it's clear that they've stylized the O to represent the all-seeing eye of Heru, or Aset. Look at the blurb. It says, for the joy, the laughs, the lessons, the adventure of a lifetime, thank you. Now, if you have a basic understanding, if you're a two-dimensional thinker, you think that that blurb is talking about you, the reader. It's not talking about you. Because if it was talking about you, she'd be looking straight ahead in her photo. The photo has her eyes directed towards the O in the upper left-hand corner of the magazine cover, because that is who she's talking to. She's thanking Heru / Aset for being quote-unquote illuminated. That's why she has that light radiating through the O. You understand? So this is how they show you what they really represent, brothers. When I say things like Oprah Winfrey's a Luciferian, and I'm not just here making shit up. And, you know, a lot of low-level dudes who don't get it, they will try to make those type of statements or allegations because they're frustrated that they can't see the forest through the trees. As I've stated, an eagle cannot communicate to an ant what his perspective is. You just can't. You have a job as an ant. You have to pick up them crumbs. An eagle can only communicate with other eagles. That's it. So hopefully you brothers have a little bit better grasp of what's occurring, and please make sure that when, you know, just in your everyday life, these messages that are around you, that you comprehend what's going on. Don't let it envelop you. Don't become one of these guys just running around out in the street with dirty clothes on, talking to yourself, talking about they coming to get us. But, you know, just be aware and be astute. Walk circumspectly. But, I mean, look at this cover. You see how clear this is? It's so ridiculous, man. For the joy, the laughs, the lessons, the adventure of a lifetime. Thank you. What is she saying? She's saying that for her whole life, she has been taught to worship Heru. Why is that? Because the CIA psychiatrists who act as MK programmers, they're all atheists. Carl Rogers, William Thetford, Luther Green, Henry Murray, John Gittinger, you name them. They're all atheists. Julian West, Middlebrook Pierce, a whole bunch of them guys. I'll probably do a video covering the MK Ultra stuff. But all those guys are atheists. And beyond that, they venerate the pagan Babylonian mystery school system. They worship Saturn. Okay? So they're going to program their assets to do the same thing. But anyway, peace.